There are moments in life when the weight of problems feels unbearable. You plan, you try, you struggle, and yet everything seems to stand against you. At such times, remember this truth: you do not walk alone. When Allah is on your side, you don't need to fight every battle with your own strength. You walk calmly, because He is already fighting for you. There comes a time in every person's life when they realize that the idea of control they once held so tightly is only an illusion. People plan their lives down to the smallest detail, thinking that if they work hard enough, push strongly enough, and stay awake long enough, they can mold their destiny entirely with their own hands. Yet life itself has a way of humbling us. Situations arise that no amount of money can fix, no amount of influence can change, no amount of intelligence can outsmart. And in those moments, people either break completely or they finally recognize that control has never belonged to them in the first place. It belongs to Allah alone. Think about it carefully. You might wake up in the morning with an entire plan set out for your day, but a single phone call can turn that day upside down. You might build a career with years of effort, and one unseen event in the economy can shatter it in moments. You may invest your heart into a relationship believing it will last forever, and suddenly it ends without warning. If life has taught us anything, it is that control is not in our hands. Yet what do people do when things slip away? They fight, they panic, they argue with destiny, they wrestle with people, trying to prove they are strong enough to force outcomes. But the reality is, you can only exhaust yourself by trying to control what is never yours to control. Walking calmly does not mean that you deny effort, but it means you acknowledge a higher power above your effort. The doors you once thought you opened because of your qualifications, your intelligence, or your skills were in fact doors Allah allowed to open for you. If you truly look back in your life, you will see many moments when you were not qualified enough, not experienced enough, not strong enough, yet somehow you still passed through. Why? Because Allah wrote it for you. And there are moments you tried your hardest, you pushed with everything you had, yet those doors remained shut. It wasn't because you were incapable, it was because Allah knew something you did not know. He knew that what you were chasing would not serve your soul. It would not bring you peace. It would not take you to where He wanted you to be. When you walk calmly, you admit that there are battles meant for Allah, not for you. There are storms meant to be left in His hands. You may be facing people who attack you with words, who mock your intentions, who twist your actions, and your instinct may be to fight back with equal force. But if you did that, you would spend your whole life arguing, defending, retaliating, and even if you win one argument, 10 more will arise. But if you walk calmly, if you recognize that Allah sees what is hidden and what is clear, you realize you don't need to fight those battles. Your silence, your patience, your calmness becomes the loudest voice of all. Calmness is often misunderstood as weakness. People assume that if you do not argue, you must be defeated. If you do not fight back, you must be powerless. But in truth, calmness is a sign of deep strength that shows that you have faith that Allah's justice is more powerful than your reaction. When you choose silence, when you choose patience, when you walk away instead of escalating, you are not losing, you are handing the matter to the Lord of the worlds, and His judgment is never wrong. Think of the times people misunderstood you. They might have spread false stories about you, taken advantage of your kindness, or spoken behind your back. If you responded to every accusation, your life would be filled with constant defense. You would tire yourself proving again and again what you already know. But the one who trusts Allah realizes that truth does not need endless defense, it only needs time, and Allah manages that time perfectly. Walking calmly in those moments means saying to yourself, I will not lower myself into constant arguments. I will let Allah reveal the truth when He wishes, and until then, I will remain patient. This is not easy because our ego pushes us to respond, to shout, to prove ourselves right. But if you look at the lives of the prophets, you will see their calmness was not from weakness, it was from strength. They were mocked, rejected, falsely accused, yet they walked with calm dignity because they knew Allah Himself was defending them. Every insult thrown at them was recorded, every injustice they suffered was seen. Every plot against them was known, and in due time Allah responded in ways more powerful than any human reply could ever achieve. Now reflect on your own life. How many times have you been protected from dangers you did not even know existed? How many battles were fought for you without your awareness? Maybe someone planned to harm you at work, but Allah diverted their attention. Maybe someone wanted to speak ill of you, but Allah sealed their tongue. Maybe an accident was waiting on the road, but Allah delayed you by 5 minutes. These are not small things. These are signs that Allah fights battles for you daily, battles you cannot even see. And if He is doing this behind the veil of the unseen, why would you not trust Him with the battles you do see? Calmness becomes an act of worship because it reflects trust. When you choose calmness instead of panic, silence instead of argument, patience instead of rage, you are actually demonstrating that you believe Allah sees what you cannot. You are acknowledging His justice, His wisdom, His timing. This is why the person who truly trusts Allah sleeps peacefully even in hardship, while the one who doubts Him is restless even in comfort. Walking calmly is not about your situation being easy. It is about your faith being strong enough to give you ease even when the situation is heavy. But we must be clear, Fi. Calmness is not laziness. It is not an excuse to abandon responsibility or effort. Calmness means that after you have done what is in your hands, after you have spoken the truth, after you have made your effort, after you have tried your best, you release the burden of results to Allah. You stop obsessing over what will happen tomorrow, because you trust the one who holds tomorrow. That is a form of inner strength many will never understand, because it is not seen in muscles or in loud voices. It is seen in a heart that beats steadily while others are in chaos. There are countless battles happening around you every single day that you will never see. Sometimes you think life is just your routine, your job, your family, your studies, your relationships. But behind the curtain of the unseen, there are dangers that could have destroyed you if Allah had not stopped them. There are people whose intentions you never discovered. There are situations that never reached you. There are accidents that could have happened but did not, and you move on thinking it was chance or coincidence. Yet if you were to truly reflect, you would realize that it was Allah protecting you from something your eyes could not detect. How many times have you planned to go somewhere only to be delayed by a small matter? You become frustrated thinking that you are running late. But perhaps that delay was Allah saving you from a danger on the road. How many times did your heart become attached to someone who suddenly walked away from your life? You cried over their absence, not realizing that Allah was removing a person who would have broken your spirit in ways you could not bear. How many times did you lose opportunities that you thought were your future, only to later find out they were not what you imagined them to be? If Allah fights your unseen battles daily, should that not give you calmness in the battles you can see with your own eyes? The truth is, we only see a fragment of reality. Our sight is limited to the moment, while Allah sees yesterday, today, and tomorrow all at once. You may be crying today over a closed door, but Allah sees that if it had opened, it would have harmed you. You may be restless because of a loss, but Allah sees the greater gain hidden behind it. Walking calmly means you train your heart to stop panicking over the closed doors of life. It means you stop breaking yourself over things that Allah already decided were not good for you. It means you trust that if He blocked it, it was protection, and if He allowed it, there was preparation for something else. This trust is not naive optimism. It is built upon the truth that Allah never abandons His servant. If He removes, it is to replace. If He delays, it is to prepare. If He tests, it is to strengthen. So when you see people walking around with restless energy, fighting every disappointment, questioning every loss, arguing with destiny, you realize their calmness has been stolen because they have not yet surrendered to this reality. But the believer learns that walking calmly is not about ignoring problems, it is about handing those problems to the one who already knows the ending. And yet we must be careful. Some may misunderstand calmness and trust as an excuse for laziness, as if we should sit and wait for miracles without moving. That is not faith, that is negligence. The calmness we speak about is a calmness that comes after effort, after striving, after sincerity in action. You cannot neglect to study and then say Allah will help you pass. You cannot sit back in your home and say Allah will provide without working. You cannot mistreat people and then expect Allah to place love in their hearts for you. Faith requires action, effort requires sincerity, but the beauty of calmness lies in what happens after you have done your part. You prepare for your exam, you study late into the night, you revise with dedication, and when the day arrives, you walk into the room calmly, because success is not in the hands of your pen, it is in the hands of Allah. You put effort into your work, you give your best at your job, you plan carefully, you work honestly, and then you walk calmly because provision comes from the one who feeds every creature on earth. You try to mend relationships, you give kindness, you offer patience, you show love. And then you walk calmly because Allah is the one who turns hearts, not you. This balance between effort and calmness is what many people miss. Some only rely on themselves and end up burnt out, stressed, anxious, constantly restless because they believe everything depends on them. Others neglect effort entirely and hide behind the excuse of trust, but in reality they are abandoning their responsibility. True calmness comes in the middle path. When you use every strength Allah gave you, but then you release the results to Him. Reflect for a moment on how heavy life feels when you try to carry it all by yourself. Every outcome, every detail, every success, every failure. You hold it tightly thinking you must control it. No wonder people feel suffocated. But when you learn to release the results to Allah, you suddenly feel lighter because you no longer carry what was never meant for you. Your responsibility was always effort, and His promise was always the outcome. Think of the farmer. He prepares the land. He plants the seed, he waters the soil, he protects the crop. But does he make the seed grow? Does he command the rain to fall? Does he instruct the sun to shine? No. His calmness comes from knowing that he has done his part, and now Allah will do what only He can do. If he panicked over every stage, questioning whether the seed would grow, whether the rain would come, whether the sun would rise, he would destroy his peace and gain nothing. In the same way, you are planting seeds every day, seeds of effort, seeds of prayer, seeds of patience. Walk calmly knowing that Allah is the one who will make them grow in ways you cannot see now. This is the wisdom behind calmness after effort. If you chase outcomes obsessively, you will never rest because outcomes are endless. You may win one battle, but another will arise. You may gain one success, but fear losing it tomorrow. But when you surrender outcomes to Allah, your heart finds rest. It is not that problems disappear, but that your relationship with those problems changes. You no longer fight against every wave. You let some pass. You swim with calm strokes because you know the ocean itself is commanded by Allah. When you live like this, people around you notice something different. They see you working hard, yet not panicking. They see you struggling, yet not breaking. They see you tested, yet not destroyed. And they wonder how you carry yourself with such calm strength. The answer is not arrogance or self-confidence. It is trust in Allah. You are calm not because you think you are capable of everything, but because you know Allah is capable of everything. Imagine how liberating life becomes when you stop needing to prove yourself to every person, when you stop needing to chase every outcome, when you stop needing to control every detail. You become free from the chains of anxiety. You walk into challenges with your best effort, and then you walk away calmly because what belongs to you will reach you, and what does not was never written for you. This does not mean you will not feel pain or disappointment. You will because you are human. But even in pain you will find calmness because you believe Allah's wisdom is greater than your plan. Even in loss you will find strength because you know Allah never takes except to give. Even in waiting you will find patience because you trust Allah's timing is perfect. That is the calmness that transforms life, that allows you to carry burdens without collapsing, that makes people wonder where your strength comes from. When we feel overwhelmed by the weight of everything happening around us, we look at our circumstances and wonder how we will ever find the strength to carry on. The road ahead looks blocked, the path behind us feels closed, and our hearts struggle under the pressure of fear, uncertainty, and pain. But in those very moments, the greatest lesson we will come to understand is that we are not walking alone. Every step we take is already guarded, every struggle we endure is already seen, and every tear we shed is already counted. What appears as silence from the Almighty is not absence, but rather a sign that He is working in ways our eyes cannot perceive and our minds cannot comprehend. When we begin to trust this reality, we will walk calmly even when storms rage around us, because deep down we will know that Allah is already fighting our battles. Think of the times when we face situations that seemed impossible to overcome. A person might be wronged by others, perhaps betrayed by someone close or treated unjustly at work, at home or within the community. The natural instinct is to retaliate, to defend, to fight back. But how often has it been proven that when one surrenders the matter to Allah, the result is far greater than anything they could have achieved by their own effort. When Allah takes over, He protects us in ways we could never imagine. He exposes the truth at the right time, He turns hearts in our favor, and He removes obstacles that looked like towering mountains. Many people could share stories where they were silent in the face of injustice, only for Allah to clear their name, restore their dignity, and elevate their status far beyond what they lost. This is the promise of the one who is most just. He does not sleep, nor does He overlook the cries of those who place their trust in Him. Walking calmly does not mean doing nothing. It means doing our best with what is in our control and leaving what we cannot control to Allah. Imagine someone facing financial hardship. They work honestly, they try their best. But no matter what they do, their income seems insufficient. In such moments, instead of drowning in despair or resorting to unlawful means, the believer holds firm to the truth that provision is not determined by the employer, the economy, or the marketplace. Provision is written by Allah long before we were even born. The battle of sustenance is not fought in offices or marketplaces, it is fought by the decree of the Almighty. When we rely on Him, we find that opportunities open in the most unexpected of places. A contract arrives suddenly, a door of support is unlocked, or even our small income stretches in miraculous ways. This is what it means when we say Allah is fighting our battles. He arranges for us in ways unseen. Another dimension of this truth lies in emotional battles. Every person carries wounds hidden behind their smiles. Heartbreak, loneliness, grief, disappointment. These are wars fought within the soul. We may struggle silently, unable to explain to anyone what we are truly going through. But Allah is closer to us than our jugular vein. He knows the tremors of our heart before we utter them in words. When we pray, sometimes with broken sentences and sometimes with nothing but tears, He is the one who responds in His perfect timing. Healing is not always instant, but He sends it gradually in the form of strength, patience, unexpected companionship, or tranquility that cannot be explained. A heart that trusts Allah in pain is a heart that will one day find its wounds turned into sources of wisdom and resilience. What once broke us becomes the very reason we rise stronger. This is not coincidence, it is the victory Allah writes for those who wait upon Him. History itself is filled with countless examples where the oppressed were rescued not by their own power, but by Allah's intervention. Think of Prophet Musa standing at the shore. The sea before him and the army of Pharaoh behind him. To the human eye, it was the end. No escape, no hope. Yet Allah parted the sea, proving once again that when He defends His servant, no enemy, no army, and no force on earth can overpower His decree. Walking calmly in that moment meant trusting that Allah would never abandon His promise. And that is exactly what He fulfilled. This story is not for history books alone. It is a reminder for every believer today that when we are cornered by life, Allah can split a path for us where we see none. But sometimes our greatest test is patience. We live in an age where everything is rushed, where we are conditioned to expect immediate results. Yet Allah's plan unfolds in perfect timing, not our timing. When we rush, we make mistakes, we ruin relationships, we lose opportunities. But when we wait calmly, trusting that Allah is working behind the scenes, we are rewarded not only with the solution we need, but with peace during the wait. How many times have people later looked back and realized that the delay was in fact protection, that what they prayed for would have harmed them, and what they received instead was far better? This understanding does not come instantly. It is learned through experience and through deep faith in the unseen. Sometimes Allah fights our battles by removing people from our lives. At first it may hurt, and we may question why we lost someone we thought we needed. But later, we realize that their presence was toxic, their intentions harmful, or their companionship preventing us from reaching our potential. By closing certain doors, Allah saves us from unseen destruction. It is only after some time that we see His wisdom. When we recognize this, we begin to walk with serenity, no longer questioning every loss. When believing that every departure is also a form of divine defense. When we internalize this way of living, we carry ourselves differently. We stop panicking over every rumor, every threat, every injustice. We learn to pick our battles wisely, leaving those beyond us to the Almighty. This does not mean we remain passive. It means we act responsibly. But without anxiety, we still prepare, we still strategize, we still defend ourselves where required. But we do it with the calm knowledge that the final outcome lies not in our effort, but in Allah's decree. The serenity of such a life is unmatched. It is like walking through a storm while carrying an umbrella of certainty that no matter how heavy the rain falls, we will not drown, because the one who commands the rain is also the one protecting us. This truth changes the way we see difficulties. They are no longer punishments but opportunities for Allah.